In this tutorial in CyberLink PowerDirector, we'd like to show you how to transition from a sepia tone shot to a regular shot. You can use the same procedure in reverse to go in the opposite direction. We'd like to give you some examples of what that looks like in the following very short clip, and then we'll show you the two methods you can use in PowerDirector to accomplish this task. The first thing we're going to do is use an effect to accomplish this. So I have my video on track number 1, and I'm going to click on the FX icon, or I can press the F4 key to get into my effects room. Now I have all my content here. I'm going to drag and search my library. I'll type in sepia, and there I find that I have two options. Let's take this one and drag and drop it. I'm going to put it underneath the clip. But what I want to do now that I have it applied, I want to modify it slightly. So I'm going to double click on the effect. That gets me in the modify. What I think I want to do is change the degree of the color a little bit. So I'm going to back it off so it's not quite so intense. And we can change the nature of the color. It's more of a yellow. I can go to more of a darker brownish if I want to. Just use the slider slightly, click on OK. So there is my somewhat sepia tone. I think I'm going to go back up a little more intense there. But it does tend to blur it when you use this a bit. Now I'm going to keyframe it as well. So I'm going to click on the keyframe button, and we'll keyframe this effect. I know I want it to transition to normal from about 7 seconds to 8 seconds into the video. So I'll drag my time indicator, my playhead to the right, and you notice right below the preview screen, right when that bar of the porch railing goes up, that's where I want the change to start to happen. So it's pretty good right around 6.5, almost 7 seconds. Then I'll set a keyframe on the degree area. And now I have a keyframe set. Then I'm going to move over just a little bit. I want it to be a pretty quick transition. So let's go right up to about here. And then I'll set another keyframe by clicking the diamond. Now I'll turn the degree back down to 0. I'll close my keyframe settings tab, give ourselves some more real estate. Go back a bit. Now we'll play the movie and see what happens. The camera moves up. We are sepia to start with, and it just goes above the rail, and all of a sudden it turns to normal. I might slow that down a bit, but that's one way to accomplish this task in CyberLink PowerDirector. So I'm going to take my effects and remove that and show you the other method we can use to do this. I'm going to go back to my media room. I'm going to need 2 copies of the same video using this second technique. So I'm going to take that same copy and drag it down to track number 2. Make sure they're exactly timed. They begin and end at the same time. Looks like we're good there. Now I'm going to change the lower track, which will be the track on top. And I'm going to use a color lookup table, or a CLUT, C-L-U-T. So on the second or lower copy, I'm going to click on the Fix Enhance button above the timeline. Then I'm going to choose my color preset, or CLUT, my color LUT. I'll move over so we can see more. I'm going to drag down. I know near the bottom I have one called Vintage Sepia. So I'm going to click on that. And I just applied that and applied it to the entire second clip. Now what I want to do is close that, and I want to transition from the one to the other. So I'm going to make the second clip go from opaque to transparent in that same time frame. So I'm going to move into my project about 7 seconds, about the same location here. And then I'm going to keyframe this entire second clip. So I need to double click on it. That gets into my pip designer. And we're going to set a keyframe for opacity. So about here, we're going to leave the opacity at 100%. I will click at the diamond to the right of the opacity value, and it will lock in that value. Then we're going to go up a little bit, and I think I'm going to make it transition a little slower than I did before, right about here. And we'll change the opacity down on this place to 0. We'll dial it back. It will set a second keyframe. Then I'll click on OK. Since this overwrites the track beneath it, this opacity will go down, and we will see it change as we watch this play. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're playing the video. The sepia track is overriding the other track, and then the sepia track turns clear, and we have that nice soft change from sepia to normal. Now if I didn't have the other track, what I would have is, we'll turn it off. If I didn't have the dual tracks, you'll see what would happen. It would actually go from sepia to black. We'll play that so you can see the difference. There's sepia. Now the whole track is fading out, but there's nothing underneath it but black. That's why we needed two tracks that were identical. So as long as we have both tracks enabled and the transition on the second track, then it transitions, and behind it we have the normal. So those are two ways to transition from sepia to normal video, or obviously you could reverse it and go the other direction.